Hello, this is Bill Meridian speaking to you again from Vienna, Austria. It is, well, just past midnight, February 14th, 2019. This is Cycles Research Mundane Global Scan. The subject is the Venezuela and Russian investigations, which were both eclipsed. And I'll show you what I mean. This is the January solar eclipse, January 5, 2019. Just notice that the eclipse was at 15 Capricorn 26, very close to Pluto at 20 Capricorn 45, and Saturn at about 12 Capricorn. In fact, the eclipse was on the Saturn-Pluto midpoint and 135 degrees to the Iranian planet Admetus, and they shut the U.S. government down. Saturn-Pluto would be cutting expenses. Admetus is a complete stoppage. Here's the July solar eclipse coming up July 2nd, 2019. It is at 10 Cancer 37. It is on the north heliocentric node of Jupiter, which gives it a benefic influence. It is very close to the Iranian planets, Kronos on one side and Hades on the other. Kronos being the highest, Hades the lowest, Kronos being God, Hades being the devil. This is the natal horoscope of Venezuela from Nick Campion's book, July 5, 1811. Note the sun at 12 Cancer 39. So that eclipse at 15 Capricorn was opposite the sun. And what do we know from my book, Predictive Power of Eclipse Paths? But eclipses opposite the sun tend to knock one down in stature. They tend to reduce one, put one at odds with the world, and look what's happening with Venezuela right now. The leadership, as represented by the sun, is under pressure due to the ill effects of socialism that have ruined the economy. Now, this is the horoscope of the beginning of USA-Venezuela diplomatic relations, July 30, 1835. Note where the sun is, 8 Cancer. So the eclipse is widely opposite that. That's actually too wide. But the upcoming July eclipse will be conjunct that degree. Let me go back up one slide, and you'll see that that eclipse coming up in July is conjunct the sun of Venezuela. And let's remember it has a benefic conjunction to the north heliocentric node of Jupiter, which is a fixed point in space. See the last video about those fixed points. That's 12 Cancer. Here we have 8 Cancer. The eclipse is going to be 10. So, what does that suggest? But it suggests that there'll be some beneficial end to the crisis with the U.S. being heavily involved. Because an eclipse conjunct the sun lifts one in stature. It energizes, strengthens the national will, and puts you back on your feet. So this is the chart of Nicolas Maduro, 11/23/62. We don't know the time. And his chart is really not affected so much by the eclipses. And this is Juan Guaido, the man who claims to be the new president, or says that he's assuming the role, born July 28th, 1983. We don't know the time there either, so I've assumed 6 a.m. Now, what could possibly happen here? We have to look at the transits. Neptune transited over the natal Venezuela and Pluto for the first 5 hits on May 10th, or will transit over on May 10th, with the second on August 3rd. This appears to symbolize the country's great international debt and the need for reconstruction and a revival of oil production. On September 18th, the direct station of Saturn will oppose the Sun. This will direct much opposition toward the government. The December 26th solar eclipse Jupiter conjunction will be on the national moon. This is likely a sign of some benefit coming to the people. On September 19th, the Iranian planet Kronos begins a series of 5 conjunctions to the natal sun. Governments of the world are likely to have more involvement in Venezuelan internal affairs, such as the IMF. Hopefully, by the last conjunction in 2020, Venezuela will have a new leader. But in October of 2022, Hades will transit over the natal sun of Venezuela for the first of 5 transits. In fact, Hades will station on the sun in that month. Now, when Hades went over the sun In the horoscope of Argentina, that was after the failed Argentine invasion of the Falkland Islands. The British came down and repelled the Argentine forces. The people took to the streets. Hades was in Gemini at the time on the Argentine sun, and they demanded the ousting of the president, which did succeed. So there were all these people out. I remember I was in training to be a therapist at that time, and my feeling was all these people were taking out their anger against their father, which was the venting of the negative feelings was Hades, the national sun was Dad. Now the leaders. Now Maduro came to power on March 5th, 2013. The August 11th Uranus station is square Maduro's natal Saturn with a tiny orb. This aspect pressures him all year, but it may not be enough to remove him from power. We don't know what the midheaven is, so that's not helpful. Neptune has been on the sun in the 2013 chart of his accession to the office. It will station there in November. It does make the leadership picture unclear. It became unclear when Juan Guaido claimed to be national leader on January 23, 2019. He has transiting Uranus square his natal sun from June through February, and Saturn opposing his Mars from March through December. These are hard aspects that will keep him off balance and under stress through the year. It does not appear that Maduro will fall from power or that Guaido will ascend to the throne based upon these natal charts. Now, something else happened just a couple days ago. The Senate Investigative Committee reported that they could find no Russian collusion. According to a radio commentator that I was listening to, on July 5, 2016, Hillary Clinton was exonerated, but in London, one of the fomenters of this Russian conspiracy theory went into an office in London and said that they had evidence that Russia had interfered in the election in favor of Trump. Well, notice where the sun is, 13 Cancer 50. Now, the solar eclipse that just occurred opposed that sun, the January eclipse, and not only that, but Saturn and Pluto hit it, indicating it was coming to an end, and apparently Admetus has brought it to a complete halt. And if we take a little closer look at this chart, where is the sun but on the invariable plane, 13 Capricorn Cancer, which represents being between opposing forces. Its heavy action there upsets the balance of the world. Could you imagine if they had actually come up with evidence? This sun is conjunct the sun of the United States. The United States was born on July 4th. Its sun is 1314 Cancer. In addition to that, the eclipse was on Pluto at 16 Capricorn, Pluto opposite the sun, and you see Mercury involved at 11 Cancer, and Mercury is trine Neptune down at 11 Pisces, which is in turn trine the Uranian planet Poseidon at 11 Scorpio, making a grand trine in water. There was certainly a tremendous amount of discussion about this, with the balance of the world, or the balance of national security, hanging up in the air for quite a while. So this eclipse appears to end that investigation, but according to the rule of eclipses, the eclipse at 10 Cancer coming up may kick this up again and bring it back up into the headlines in July. I kind of doubt it, because I think in this chart, the eclipse was on Pluto at 16 Capricorn, and I think that, combined with all the Saturn, Pluto, Admetus within the eclipse chart itself, I think that's it. But it probably will flare up again. Somebody will probably find some shred of evidence in July or in the months around July. So, what mundane principles from my book did we use? We scanned the database for eclipse hits to the sun, plus or minus 5 degrees. Eclipses opposite the sun knock one down. Eclipses conjunct the sun lift one up. Now, if you scan the database, out came Venezuela, out came this chart of the beginning of the Russia investigation. So that's how they are brought to your attention. The sun is the most important body in mundane astrology. And number 3, the Russian investigation Sun is on the invariable plane, caught between opposing forces. Those are the principles that were used in doing this analysis. And these are the other YouTube videos. And this is the book, Mastering Geopolitical Prediction, Applied Mundane Astrology. And it is available at BillMeridian.com, of course, along with Cycles Research. Thank you so much for listening. Until the next time, this is goodbye from Vienna.